Closing comments on House File 732.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, fellow members. I appreciate the comments here today, and I think really when we look at this bill and what we're doing, this is a great example of why we put a board of medical professionals in place to begin with. Because we are, for the most part, not doctors in this room. We are farmers, we are truck drivers, we are former executives, we have some nurses, but we are not the most qualified to be making all these decisions that we have been looking at in the past. So we put that board in place, we allow it to work, we take their recommendations, things that we can find agreement on, and then we put it into a piece of legislation to give Iowans a better life. I think that's what this bill is doing in the end. This is why we had to set the board up to begin with, and we will continue to listen to this board. I think this is only going to empower them further to give us their input, to give us their medical professional expertise on this topic. And I also further think this is a great example for Iowans. This is an issue that some of us have great differences of opinion on. But we came together and found reasonable solutions, reasonable responses to help sick people in the state of Iowa because, quite frankly, unfortunately, the federal government has not been doing their job, and they've left it to those of us in the states to address it. So that's what we're doing here. That's what we have been doing for a number of years, trying to provide relief to sick Iowans. This bill only further advances that cause and helping them, and I think it's not just a great example of why we put the board in place, but a great example for Iowans to look to as they think that we work in a very bitter partisan environment, when in all reality, a lot of times we can push our differences aside, come together, find places of agreement, and come up with what I believe is good legislation, and that's just what this is. So with that, I do want to say thank you, Madam Speaker, Mr. Majority Leader, Mr. Minority Leader. You guys were critical in making this happen and bringing everybody together. Without you and your involvement, this would not be possible today. I also want to thank my Public Safety Committee because we have handled this not since just before I was chair, but since I become the chair of the committee. And we've handled it, I think, admirably, passing out bills in a lot of unanimous ways. This is another one of those. And then I also have to thank my subcommittee. Representative Breckenridge, we put a lot of time in on this, and we're getting it done. And then we brought a new one to the table this year. Representative Postian got to join in on this as well, and I think he's, to some extent, has enjoyed the experience. But we brought a few members in, and I appreciate the time that you guys have put in on this, the time everybody has put in. There's other folks in here that have been very helpful in this issue over the years, and I'm sorry if I can't go through and name everybody, but I did want to highlight a few of those folks there. With that, thank you, and I move the bill.